Explaining the love of money. Money is not evil, but the love of money is. But why is the love of an object evil? The love of a dog is not evil, nor even the love of a painting. But the love of money is said to be the root of all evil. 1 Timothy 6:10 For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith, and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. There are some interesting points in this passage. We are told that the love of money is the root of all evil. But the passage goes on to say that, which while some have coveted after, they have erred from the faith, and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. It is plain that not all people have coveted money, and so not all have erred from the faith and pierced themselves with many sorrows. But it is still true that the love of money is the root of all evil. Naturally, many tie this love to individuals. But biblical love is not what we understand as romantic love. Love is akin to what we value. If we put the accumulation of money, as a measure of our wealth, above all things, we love money. This would be like marrying for money and doing what is necessary to accumulate the most money. It does not mean possessing hard cash, one might even be in debt, but one might have great paper wealth or control of large amounts of property. Even politicians, in this respect, can be accused of loving money, as the love of power is tantamount to the love of money. They are interchangeable. The control of property is the control of money and the possession of power. However, this love of money needs to be contrasted with something else. This is the love of God, which has its own correlates. When we love God, we love His culture. The love of money cannot be equated with hero worship or a passion for cars. It's not romantic or even familial, as the love of things is a different sort of love, perhaps better thought of as passion. But this is not what the Bible refers to when it talks about the love of money. A better comparison is idolatry. When a person loves money, he thinks money is the solution to all of his problems, and it becomes, in one sense, akin to the state. This is the problem with the free market as it is often conceived. Proponents think a free market will solve all problems because they think the love of money will solve every problem. The love of money is almost a pragmatic response, an assumption that if we had more money, we could find a solution to the problems we have. This might be true, but what is not considered is that as our wealth grows, our problems usually increase in size, and what is solved with money at one level is not what poses a problem at a higher level of wealth. Keeping up with the Joneses enters a whole new level of intensity as one's status improves. However, even though this is all true and enters into the equation, the heart of the matter goes far deeper. The love of money assumes a certain type of currency. The phrase of necessity points to a type of money that has substance. If we can love money, it is in the same sense that we love cars, though perhaps for different reasons. People love cars for many different reasons, but one can love money for only one reason: it is viewed as a pathway to power. This ought to give us pause, not because someone wants power, but because there is a type of currency that manifests power. $1 million gives the one who possesses it a lot of power. $1 billion gives them even greater power. A person without money has little or no power, other than that given them by their physical stature. But how and why does money represent power? Money, at least in the form used by modern economies, is an asset, and assets of equal value can be exchanged. $1 million can be exchanged for any asset worth $1 million. But that is not the end of it, because human beings are dependent on assets or property to exist. Therefore, the more property you control, the more control you can exercise over people's lives. Money does not have direct power, it has the indirect power of control over property. A king that controls a nation owns the nation. The larger and more prosperous the nation, the more power that king has. The power of a king can be quantified in that sense, by tabulating the value of all of the property he owns and controls. The modern king does not own the property of the state, and while they may be wealthy in their own right, they are not powerful in a nationalistic way. Fascists were nationalistic. Schism was a way for a secular non-royal to acquire the power of an absolute monarch. Naturally, this will be responded to in a negative way. We all want freedom, though it seems few seem to know what to do with it when they have it. Naturally, we think taking money away from some and giving it to others will produce a more equal society. This it may do, but in this system, equality means stagnation. To govern a power disparity has to exist. If we look at this power disparity as plottable on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest degree of disparity, then at the first level everyone is equal. The organization is totally flat, and anything that does get done is done solely because the one doing it wants to do it. At least that is the theory, but even at this level the obvious can be misleading, because two or more members could join forces, elect a leader and use their combined power to grasp power. This creates a paradox. The more efficient the organization, the steeper the gradient of power. Yet at some point this efficiency turns into chaos, for no single person is able to make rational choices for large numbers of people. But if all we do is to take power from the top levels and redistribute this to the lower ones, to make the organization flatter, the ability to even function as an organization is reduced to the point where nothing substantial can be accomplished. And so, organizations are caught between the two extremes of absolute tyranny and direct democracy or cooperativism. Conventional organizations attempt to land somewhere between these two extremes. None of this would matter if there was not a hidden agenda behind every organization. Organizations have costs. If people are gathering to vote or just following orders, costs are created. The organization has to pay its costs. The organization is, in this sense, a kind of animal that must survive. If an organization does nothing but debate all day trying to resolve issues, it will get nothing done. Eventually such organizations would self-destruct out of necessity. But an organization that spends its time trying to implement orders that create chaos and confusion, will likewise self-destruct. The whole idea of organization is to become more than the sum of the parts. If people could do better individually than they do corporately, the organization is likely to fail. However, the language of better or worse must be mediated by a metric, and that metric is money. We look at our income and we determine if we are better or worse off, according to the money we earn. But how is money a valid or accurate measure of our worth when it is itself a product of the market subject to the laws of supply and demand? More importantly, if our worth is measured by money, why do individuals get to determine what I am paid? If money was nothing more than a measure of value, loving money would be akin to loving miles or kilos. But money is not a measure of value, it is something of value. When you have a lot of money, you have something of value. We can argue paper money is just paper, but it represents real wealth and power. An order of execution and a happy birthday message are both words on paper, but they have far different meanings and significance. The love of money implies money as something with substance. It suggests money as something with significance. The love of money is the love of what money represents, which is power. Power is acquired through the ownership of property. It has little to do with value. $1 million gives the owner a large claim on property, regardless of how it was acquired. But we can go deeper, and we should. Imagine a true tyrant with absolute power. He owns and controls everything. The power disparity between him and the people is absolute. His wish is an absolute law. We have not seen this on this planet in its fullest extent, but we have seen approximations in various communist and fascist states. The individuality of people is eliminated. The population is militarized, even when not in the military. Bland dress is imposed. There is no need for individuals to personalize their look, so cosmetics and other accoutrements are eliminated. Meanwhile, the leader usually adorns himself with excessive mark of his status. The level of a person's power is reflected in the loss of personhood in the population he governs. In the end, this love of money is largely a reflection of their hatred of other people's individuality. This is less true in business than in politics, as business is more dependent on innovation. Political power is a more indirect love of money, as politicians are able to acquire power by a more direct route. Yet, if we look at political power, it gives the power holder control over property, the value of which can be given in dollars and which have an income that the political office holder is able to spend often. Thus, by controlling this property, he or she can determine the kind of life that will be promoted and the type of living that will be penalized. So, there is a push towards conformity and a penalization of individuality. The love of money is therefore a code for an enemy of God and his creativity, which promotes individuality.